Good afternoon. I tried to get to you earlier today. Didn't work out. I'm back. I have wind blown to hell. Went driving. So anyway, last time we spoke, we were talking about the roots of the issues of the problem that we're facing right now in this country. There's many problems, but we have the wars, rumors of wars, new wars, old wars, cold wars, all going on. Then we have all of our social problems that we have here in our society now, culture war. We have the transgender activism, or activist movement, and then we have transgenderism cult and propaganda machine. We have the media all over the place on everything. We have children in Chicago losing their ever-loving minds, hundreds of them in the street. How they were able to get together, hundreds of them, and decide we're going to do this, hurting people, ruining property, car property and building property, and then also racially motivated violence against one white girl that I saw in the video. And then there was a Mexican man that got beat up from his car. We also have the drag queens going on that are wanting their rights to be reestablished, to be able to go into children's spaces and twist them. That's the best way to put it. And there was 3 names that I wanted to give you that we had already talked about, and one of them I had misspoke and called him Robert Kinsley, which was incorrect. His name is Alfred C. Kinsey. And then I talked about William Bainbridge and Martine Rothblatt. And then there's a 4th one I'm going to talk about today. His name is Volkmar Sigushi, or Sigush. I don't know how to pronounce that. He is a German sexologist. But here are the names in case you want to look them up. And I made sure that I got them on there correctly so that you could look them up and study for yourself. Maybe teach me a thing or two. Tell me what's going on that I haven't mentioned, or anything that you want me to mention. But these are some of the men in our society that are working on twisting and perverting our cultures, our faiths, education, all of our systems. I think Volkmar is the only one. Well, no, this one and Alfred are 2 that are no longer alive, but their influence is still strong. So if you wanted to pause this and write these down, you can do that. So Alfred C. Kinsey, I guess he was considered, a bisexual, because he was married and had daughters, but he also was interested in men and pornography, and also he was also a pedophile. So this guy is a pedophile, and Volkmar Segush is a pedophile. Martine Rothblatt is a transgender. Strangely enough, man with woman's sex parts, but was married to a woman and also has children. So not certain if they had the full confirmation surgery or not. I think they did, but not certain. Maybe they might have done it after his wife died or after they had children. Let's see. William Bainbridge is the one that works in the Human Cyber Experiments Institution place. Remember I told you about that? Human Cyber or Cyborg studies. And Martin Rothblatt is transgender. I don't know if he is also a pedophile, but I do know that he wants to disseminate the human race and make it to where we upload, I guess it would be, our personality, everything in our brain, all our memories and everything that we are, into a computer. He wants to upload people to get rid of the body completely. So first we're going to mutilate the body, then we're going to accentuate it with mechanics, digital, computerized mechanisms, and then the piece de resistance is that you fall for his ideology, his idol worship, in completely disseminating yourself and putting yourself digitized into a computer, into a mainframe, to live forever, to become immortal. But I disagree with that, because I think that once you do that, you are literally dead. Whatever's left of you is just simply word speaks, your words, what you believe, etc., etc. But is the soul also in the computer? Is it also in the machine? When you lay down and allow them, after they've implanted that thing into your head that William Bainbridge and Elon Musk have been working on for a century, just about. Can you imagine? They put that in your brain, and then they're convincing people, you can too opt out of life with a body and let go of your body. Let it go completely. Lay down. Allow us to take all the essence of you in your brain and put it into a computer chip so you can live forever, ever, ever, ever. The propaganda, see? Some people are going to believe that. Martin Rothblatt is saying that, people are born in the wrong bodies, and that some of them are also going to be feeling like they weren't supposed to be a human, that they're actually a computer, and he wants to let the government agree with him, and that people believe that they were supposed to be born a computer. How does a computer get born? And that they are to live as they said computer for a year before they transform into a computer. It just makes my mind like does not compute. Oh, so you see all these transgender people, and I feel bad that they fell for such evil rhetoric, evil ideology, idolatry, idols. It's evil. I mean, there's no other way to put it. This is evil. This is evil. But see, people can't see anymore. See? They can't see. They're like, I don't know what's good and evil anymore. I don't know what's right or wrong. I mean, a lot of these Democrats are just like, what murder? We can let the murderers go. They're just, they're basically good people. They're just responding out of the cultural, the cultural societal crisis that's going on right now. So, people walking around blind. They can't see how evil it is to put biological men in women's sports, pageants, locker rooms, award programs, bathrooms, private places for women, rewards and rewards for supreme intellectual prowess as a woman, awards for extreme athletic prowess for women. Instead, they've been allowing men, biological men, bio men, XY chromosome men, into women's sports, women's spaces, women's award system, and then they're winning the awards. The trans men are winning awards that a woman was supposed to be, like Woman of the Year, trans, So it's so ridiculous. It's like living in a nightmare, like the Twilight Zone, like an episode of the Twilight Zone, like evil clowns from outer space zone. It's crazy. But then to top it all off, they decide that they're going to use a different term for a woman, and because we cannot say woman anymore, because men are appropriating the woman's spaces, and then also appropriating woman's parts, our body parts. And see, this is not that they are actually becoming a real, honest to God, natural, born at birth female, because they still have XY chromosome. They're just modifying their bodies, just like someone would modify their body to look like an alligator, a lizard, a cat, a tiger, what else? A dog that's been, oh my gosh, a rabbit. Modifying. They're modifying their bodies to look like this. It doesn't mean that human being, the human species, the human race, that person is, being male or female. It doesn't mean they're actually a rabbit, a dog, a cat, a tiger, an alligator, a lizard. It doesn't mean they actually are. Or a vampire. I'm trying to think of all the ones I've seen. Or a demon. I've seen some that try to look like demons. They try to look like aliens. But they are not aliens, and they are not demons. They're still a human being. Humanity, mankind. The kind that is of man. It doesn't matter what you look like on the outside. If you were originally born a human being, you are a human being. If you are a human female, you are a human female, no matter what you do to your body. If you're a human male at birth, you are a human male, no matter what you do to your body to try to look like or mimic being a woman. Just like spiders and different animals try to mimic being other animals. They're not. They're predators. I mean, look at the kingdom of spiders, insects, and so forth. There's some spiders that mimic being either a predator or prey in order to accomplish said thing. A predator can mimic being prey. Prey can mimic being a predator. Same thing in the human species, apparently. Never thought it could be so, but I guess it is. I guess so. It's just a different type of predator. It's still a predator. You're going to mimic being a woman. You mimic being a woman, so then you try to take on the personality of a woman. The looks, the sound, the motions, the movement, the way a woman thinks, in your opinion, and you come across as a woman. What is your prey? I ask these men. What is your prey? Your prey is that in order to completely feel fulfilled in your delusion, you need a straight man to fall for your depiction, your mimicry. And that turns that straight man into a victim. Because a straight man should not be sleeping with a man. Should not. But if he's tricked into it, what do you think that psychologically does to that man who is heterosexual, who is not looking for another man's flesh to lay down with, was looking for a woman, said woman, to marry and bring forth his children, from the temple, from the other side. Because that's what we are, women. We are doorways from the infinite into this reality, into this plane of existence. It's a very holy, reverent thing to be a woman. Womb, having a womb, a woman. The first time Adam saw Eve, he went, whoa, man. And God said, that's it, woman. I love that. But I digress. So another term, go back to that, what they are labeling us as chest feeders, bleeders, birthers, and then one whole encompassing ugly name, cis, for people that are actually born into the gender that they are and they accept it. Oh, why is that evil? It makes me crazy. I really dislike being called or like relabeled. I'm a woman. I'm not a cis. I'm a woman. I'm an honest to God born female. Do not call me cisgendered. Now, the person that coined the cisgender terminology in his mad scientist ways, all these guys, they are crazy, mad scientists. Does mad scientist have two D's? I don't know why I put two D's. Mad scientist. Oh, so there's only one D. Ignore that second D. I'll take it out there. So they are crazy, mad scientists. Crazy, mad scientists. Okay? Sorry, a little fly. We are here. We don't call it summer where we live. We call it fly season. And we're always having to get fly traps. And I don't like fly traps. Where's my lid? But they do the job, I suppose. But it's just another, fly. My son asked me, why flies? Why did God make flies? What is the use of flies? I'm like, well, they eat all the ugly stuff that we don't want to eat. And they try to eat our food too. So they are, here it is. They're like the garbage men of the insect world. They get rid of, unwanted things and stuff. But yeah. So Volkmar Segush. He is Volkmar Segush. There he is. He's a German sexologist and physician and sociologist. Words. Sociologist. There we go. Got it. Okay, so let's see. From 1973 to 2006, he was the director of the Institute for Sexual Wissenschaft at the Clinic of Goethe University in Frankfurt. Okay. And see, there's a 1991 article that he wrote. Yeah. 1991 article publication titled Transsexuals and Our Nosomorphic View. Segush coined the term cissexual as an antonym to transsexual. It is a made-up term. Cissexual refers to a person, this is his ideology, refers to a person whose gender identity matches their sex assigned at birth. So using a cis-trans dichotomy as transgender pathos predates Patois. Some of these words predate Segush's back to 1914 with Ernst Burkhardt in Lexicon, and then it says words in German, but only specifically in the context of cross-dressing, not transgender identity. So that term, it's a made-up term. He coined it. They're trying to use it, and he was a pedophile. Why are we thinking that we should be listening to these, as they put them, minor attractive persons? He's a pedophile. He ain't no minor attractive person. Yes, he is attracted to minors, but he is a sick person. Why are we listening to the mentally ill? Because up is down, good is bad, bad is good, evil is good, good is evil, etc., etc. Can't have this. We have to stop it. So he coined the term cisgender. Okay, these four men, these are evil, mad scientists. They're doing experiments. Alfred Kinsey does experiments on children and women, and he wrote a whole book, The Sexual Behavior of the Human Man. And in that book, he was explaining that children who live on farms, the boys, before they're even in their adolescence or pre-adolescence, they are having sex with animals. And he's trying to normalize all this. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous and sick. And even back then, people fell for it. And he became a renowned mad scientist for the study of sexuality. And the worst thing, this is cranberry juice. The worst thing about it is, he wasn't even in that degree of study before that. He was an entomologist. He studied insect sexual habits. How do you get so twisted up from entomology? How do you do this? It's ridiculous. My goodness. But one of the things I've been saying for a while is that it's like a virus or a cancer. It can get into anybody, anytime, anywhere. Before they know it, they're indoctrinated into this transgender ideology. To prove my point, there was a man, and he goes by Tara now. And Tara made a video. I considered it a terrorist video because he was calling all his transgender people to come together and bear arms. It is time for battle. We must be allowed in women's bathrooms. He didn't say it like this. I'm being over dramatic. Okay, I'm being aggressive and silly. Because this is how I really normally am. After I've gotten used to being on video, now I can just, hello, it's me. But this guy, Tara, went on a tirade, or a rant, I guess. Same thing, right? He went on a rant on TikTok on one of his videos, and he was complaining about women not wanting men in the bathroom with them when they're going tinkle, when you're making the pee-pee. I don't want a man in there. I don't even like my husband in there when I go to pee-pee. That's my private space. It's just, I just am that way. I like my private space. There's only been a few times when it's like absolutely emergency and one of us is in the shower and there's no other bathroom available. But other than that, that's my husband. I don't want another man in there. I don't want a man in there that I don't know what his intentions are. And okay, sure, you can make the argument that, they're not going to mess with you. What could a trans woman do to you? And I'm like, I don't know. But the thing is, you give evil an inch, and they want to take a mile. They want to pull your hand all the way into that. And that's what's happened. Because we were like, okay, homosexuals, it's okay. You go ahead and get married. And it's been so normalized that even I think, oh, there's really nothing that bad about being a homosexual, you know. But it's like a gateway. Because when you allow the homosexuals, well then, I thought the pedophiles were going to come out next first. It was the transgender, the drag queens, and then in between there somewhere the pedophiles got involved. They're like, wait a minute. Hey, we exist too. We should have the right to mess with your children and you not be mad because, well, that's just our way. That's how we were born. How much are we going to accept before we stand up and say, that's enough? Stop ruining the next generation. Sadly, I think most of it's already ruined because there's already so many children that now will not be able to bear children. So the grandchildren that some of us were going to have, we're not going to have them anymore. Because now we're too old to have more children, to have grandchildren for us. And even by the time they grew up, if I had another child right now, at 54, which firstly, that might kill me, because I have very difficult pregnancies. But if I did, because none of my children could have children anymore if they were all transgender, I still would not be old enough to meet my grandchildren by the time they were old enough to conceive. And at this rate anyway, they've already been convincing children to not get married, to not have children, to live on your own, live a life of freedom without husband, wife, or children. And that is the new thing. That's a new thing if you don't know. They have taught our kids, because look, I have 4 kids, 3 of which do not want children. And the 4th one is very iffy on it. He's the youngest. He may not either. So I may not even have any grandchildren to look forward to because of the propaganda and the programming that's put in their minds about live free and single, don't get married, don't have children, just have all the fornication that you want, and then if you do accidentally get pregnant, kill it. That's all you got to do to live the happiest life. That's what they've taught them. And I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's plenty of parents out there, because I've already heard stories from my mother and friends and stuff about their children not wanting to have children. And that is a travesty, because we're already having a population problem, because the population explosion is a myth. They've lied to us. They're actually trying to kill us off. And they're doing a really good job with abortion, with the, and then suddenly you have these sudden, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. People just, because of the, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's one way. And then you get in there and you have the other thing that's real controversial. Just go and have an abortion. Just get rid of it. Why deal with that pain? You should have sex as freely as you want without the worry of ever being pregnant and having to be a mom or take any responsibility for it, or ever having to be a wife and cook and clean for a man or anything like that. My gosh, this is horrible, right? Oh, being a wife is work. Being a homecoming queen, a homecoming queen, that's not work, that's fun. A housewife or a stay-at-home mom was what I was trying to say, but my mind was like, homecoming queen? I am the homecoming queen of my house. So yes, that is a big problem, and these are part of the problem. Part of it. Not the whole picture, mind you. So, this guy Tara was a perfectly normal guy for this century, for this year. And these years were in this era of the 20s. He, just a couple years ago, he loved dogs. having dogs, raising dogs, whatever. He loved reviewing new video games that came out. That was his job, I guess. And he was doing all that, and he didn't like liberals. He didn't like what liberals and the woke ideology stood for, and he would make plenty of posts about it, how he didn't like it. 2 years is all it took for that trans ideology to get into his head. And now he's sporting a dress and long hair like a woman. I know guys can have long hair too, but he was wearing it like a woman and trying to look like a woman, but did not look like a woman and did not have a woman's voice or anything, but was a woman. And now he's a transgender, and he is a trans activist. And he's over here online threatening women now that he's going to kill them. He says, if you don't let me into your bathroom, if I'm not allowed to use the woman's bathroom, that'll be the last thing you ever do. What does that mean? Last thing you'll ever do means I kill you. So that's what that means. So now he's under investigation, thank goodness. Thank goodness, because he could be the next Andrea Hale. That's what I was worried about when I saw that happen and it was a transgender person. I mean, those families didn't deserve that. And Andrea Hale didn't deserve it either, because she was going through a lot of mental crisis. Well, of course. Of course she was, or he was. I'm not sure which way I'm guessing he transgendered into a girl because his name was Andrea Hale. But he was dressed like a man when he went to go shoot, so he's a man, modified man. Very unhappy. The propaganda is because the state had passed a law saying no more mutilation of children and no more giving children hormones before they're 18. Like, give them a chance to grow up a little before they go and make this life-altering and, in most cases, tragic decision. Because it's very tragic. There's thousands of children right now that finally grew up a little more in their head, and now they're all coming forward crying that they fell for it, that the doctors did them dirty, that the psychiatrists did them dirty, and now they have to live with all these problems that has come as a result of chopping and reforming their genitalia. Because a lot of them come with urology problems. They can't pee right. They get infections. The orifice closes up that they drill between the legs of a man. They drill that sucker. Men, listen, if you're even thinking about this, let me tell you, they take a drill, they spread your legs open, and where it never used to have anything, they drill in there. They do. And then what? Then you have these things that look like dildos that you have to put up in there, and you have to hold them inside of there for so many hours per day to keep that orifice open. Because the natural tendency of the body, because you're not a woman, is to close up, heal itself. And a lot of men have said it is such a painful process. And a lot of men have said they've had to have it redone, and it's still a painful process. And then a lot of men have said they gave up because of the process. And they let it close up, and now they have nothing. They have no faux vagina and no penis to have any fun with. So now we are truly making these poor kids and these poor adults androgynous because they cannot have a normal sexual relationship with anyone. And as you know, those of us who can have sexual relationships, that is a very precious spiritual time with our spouses. At least it should be. If you're not having a deep spiritual connection with your spouse when you're having the relations, a godly spiritual connection, that you grow deeper together in love and commitment to one another, then there's going to be something wrong. Or you're just a freaky person and enjoy it that way and don't care about all the rest of it. Who knows? We're all different in our own way. But this guy Tara, I'm glad they got him and they're investigating him, and it should be considered a terrorist act because he was calling the transgender community to arms. Arm up. Learn to be efficient with your guns, he said, because we need to go on a shooting massacre. He didn't say that part, but that's what he meant. We need to defend ourselves. And I'm like, defend yourself for the right to go into a bathroom that is meant for a female space. And just because, like one person had said, you went through all that trouble, that journey to become a woman, you've earned the right. I don't think that's right, because all you've done is modify yourself. You have not become a true natural born female. You're not. You just want to look like one. So what they've been telling us women is that your concerns, your feelings are not valid. Only the fake women's feelings are valid. And that can't be. That's not good for womanhood. It's not, because what you're going to end up having is no more women. Every space that was supposed to be a woman's is a transgender space now. So you have a trans man who is thinking he's a woman space for him, and then you have the natural born male's space for him. And then you no longer have female sports, you only have trans modified man looking like a woman's sports, and then you have biological men's sports, because after a while what's going to happen is the women are going to say, we're done, we cannot win, and we know it. It's a rare woman that can win against a man. Rare. Even the most buff woman, you put a man in there same size as her, he's going to win, unless she's some kind of a ninja superstar or something, and he's not. You know, the only advantage would be skills, maybe. Maybe. But it's literally going to be a man's world. Where are women going to fit in? Because they're telling us we're nothing. Our fears about these people harming our children physically and mentally are not valid. What are we in? What are we in? Aren't we in America, the land of the free, the land of the brave? Now it's like you're brave if you cut your junk off. How is that normal? Why is that a thing? I'm in a nightmare that I can't wake up from. That's what it feels like. Twilight Zone. You know? Okay, so Tara, she, he, it, whatever. Tara goes on the list. She's dangerous. Put Tara on the list. Now, but don't lose hope, or at least try not to, because it's really hard for me not to lose hope, I tell you. So down my rabbit hole of researching, I found a person that was explaining to me what our country has been going through that was under the radar as well. Alright, so he did lectures all in the 1980s. I did see a recent video where he's a lot older. I don't know if he's gone yet or not, but I haven't done that kind of research. But I want to tell you about Yuri Bezmenov. His name is Yuri Bezmenov. Yuri Bezmenov. Okay? He defected to the United States, and I believe in the 70s. And then in the 80s, he began talking to people, doing lectures, because he was a journalist and also worked for the KGB in some capacity. And then he took the name Thomas Schumann as his American name. Okay? So when he defected over here, Russia was still the USSR and still operating under that system. Now they are a democratic republic-ish. They're a democratic republic, freedom, capitalism, etc., like we have, but it's like it's government fluid. Like they say they're gender fluid. It's kind of government fluid because they'll operate under democracy, but then as it suits them, they'll get you down if you don't obey, and they'll turn back into communists, socialists, Marxists, Leninists, fascists, whatever. I think it's all connected, Small differences, but still. So the thing he was teaching is called subversion. SUBVERSION. And it's a term that denotes destroying activity that destroys a country from within without shooting one bullet. Destroying their religion, their government systems, their political systems, economical systems, etc., etc., etc. And he goes on to explain it's not like being a secret spy. It's more like infiltrating quietly, sending people over from like exchange students or like people who defect over here that are actually subverters that are here to spread the propaganda about Marxist socialism, Marxist-Leninist views, etc. My light went out, came back on. I guess you can still see. So, he says a lot of people, they think of that, they think, oh, spies are coming into the country, they're destroying, monuments or whatever. But, it's not like that. It's more like these people coming in and they become Americans and they get into our school systems and they get into our cranberry juice. I don't want anybody thinking I'm drinking wine right now. I'm not. It's cranberry juice. I rarely drink. And when I do, it's just one drink and it takes me forever to finish it. Kind of like cranberry juice because it's so tart. But I need it for my kidneys today, I think. So they send these people in, and they're everywhere. They're in our government, our public schools, our colleges. They're everywhere. And they're simply to spread the idea of Marxist, Leninist rhetoric, and social justice is a Marxist-Leninist term for equity and equality. So they go in to a country and they begin to tear down their religious foundations. They ridicule the religion. They mock people for being part of that religion. They tell lies about that religion. They bully people over that religion, etc., etc. And then they set up fake organizations of faith, like cults, sex cults, demonic cults, Satanism, whatever they can do, a cult, and get them indoctrinated into that ideology and to serve that fake faith. And it's called subversion. It's just taking people away from what is the real faith and pointing them to something more attractive, possibly more attractive to a person, as they ridicule the faith that they're in and so forth. And I can see how that's happened in America. I can. So we have been subverted. And really, interestingly enough as well, oh, okay, must be on the other side of the wall. Oh, here's my phone. I guess my neighbor's doing something. Interestingly enough, when they create these cults and stuff, different fake organizations to be a part of, etc., pedophilia is involved. Have you ever noticed these people? David Koresh. What was another one? Well, he's the main one. He was a pedophile. Not only that, but he would take the men's wives as well as his own. So that was definitely an evil religion that he created for humanity to follow, and a lot of people died for that, right? They died in that fire. It was horrific when the government went in there to take them down. But now that I know what I know, is probably a good idea, because if he'd been allowed to gain ground. Do you remember Jim Jones, what he did? Yeah, he slaughtered his people when it started not working out. I don't know if Jim Jones was a pedophile. I don't think so. But he was definitely a narcissistic sociopath. Definitely that. And then there was that other one, the Gates of Heaven, I think. Heaven's Gates, that's what it was, Heaven's Gates. And he was also cuckoo bird, little old man with these really wild eyes, and he'd look at you and go, "We're going to get on the mothership. It's coming, and this is what we have to do to get to the mothership." He's like, he agrees with Martin Rothblatt. We must let go of our bodies, and then we will fly up to the mothership. But you also have to wear these special track suits. They were all wearing special track suits and special shoes. They all had to be wearing the right gear for this. That's cultic. I can see how we've been subverted. And that lady recently, she got arrested for her sex cult. It was I'm not kidding. I wish I was making this up. It's not. It's not a fantasy. It's really happening. This woman created a sex cult, or she called it a sex church. And apparently they would go to church to have sex, and they had multiple rooms where they had sex in, and people would come and have sex with the church members, etc., etc. And then the government caught on, and they said, "This is not a church, this is a brothel," and arrested her. And then you see her in this one interview, she's just like, "If you just understood," like she's like, and she mentioned her god of sex or whatever. It's not a brothel. Oh no, honey. Oh yeah, we believe you. It's not a brothel. You're not just having patrons come and pay their tithes to sleep with some of your members. Wow. I laugh, but only because it's so sad that I don't know what else to do anymore. So they come in as subverters, and they teach you different dogmas, and people fall for them. And yeah. And see, the church is now getting involved. The Christian churches are now getting involved. They've been involved for a while, where you started seeing homosexual churches, gay preachers. And we all know, in and of themselves, people that proclaim to be gay are not evil in the eyes of people per se, but their ideology is unnatural. So even though they might be the nicest people, I guess that's where you get where even though you might be nice, you still have things about you that aren't good, I guess. I mean, I know my sister, she's gay. One of them, I have two, so she's gay, and she is a gay pastor in the church. And I asked her one time, how do you get around the scripture talking about homosexuality is wrong, and no one who practices such a thing gets into heaven? And she said, we just have our own Bible. Oh, so you omitted that part? Yeah. Oh, okay. I was wondering. It's not my place to judge her, just to love her. Because she's my sister. Nowadays, we're a lot older now, because all this happened when we were a lot younger. We're a lot older now, in our 50s. Has Mel made it into her 50s? No, she's probably still in her 40s, because she's a lot younger than me. She's probably at the end of her 40s. My other sister's in her 50s as well, because she's 2 years younger than me. And then the other one, she's probably 44, 45, because I think she's 10 years younger than me. Somewhere in there. 44, somewhere in there. But yeah, she is. And I don't judge her. I love her. But I don't like where all this has led the rest of humanity, because it is a problem, and it's affected my children as well. And all I can do to try to help people is understand where it came from, what's happening to us, and try to fix it. So, subversion, they attack several different ways into our country. They attack our religion. They bring people in that weren't Americans but became Americans, but came with a purpose to subvert, to destroy. And they've learned how to blend into our country. So they can only be successful with subversion if the country that they're subverting is responsive to the plan. In other words, if they're accepting. And one of the things that America has that is good, but also kind of bad for us, which we should have done better in protecting, is that we do have freedom of speech, and freedom of speech is good, but I think that there has to be a border, a boundary. There we go. A boundary that should not be crossed. We don't teach our people to be Marxist-Leninists. We don't put out the propaganda as a Marxist-Leninist. We should not. That should be a boundary. Because what we want Americans to act like and live like are free people. Critically thinking people. People that are productive and can create products and live in a free market where we can have our own businesses and stuff. That's what we want. We don't want to have people that think that they should get something for nothing. Now, if we had a whole society where that was a barter system and everything was resources and it was really done in a nice way, okay. But we don't live in that. We live in capitalism, so we need to learn how to be the best capitalists that we can be and not allow ourselves to be subverted with Marxist-Leninist propaganda, lectures, ways, and then indoctrination of our American children into that way of thinking, because that's the kind of way of thinking that puts a country into chains. It sounds good in theory, but as we all know, all governments, and we're facing it right now, can be and will be corrupted if there is even one crack in the shield. And that's what happened to our government. So we tear up the foundation first, is what he says. We tear up the foundation first by introducing all these fake organizations and religions to counteract the true faith, the true organizations, the true religions. Then one of the second things they do is education. They go in there and they infiltrate education. They put people in place with the Marxist-Leninist point of view that teaches it as an indoctrination principle, not of a theoretical principle where, okay, they do this, but this is how we should think. It's no, they do this and we should be thinking this way too. Our country is not doing right by us. That's what they teach. So then you put it in their head that they're being screwed. Put it in their head that there's actually racism, that there's actually someone that is trying to be more superior than you, that actually there's no equality, there's no equity, there's no social justice. So our country is bad, but Marxist-Leninism is good. We should be pushing for this. And that person indoctrinates our children into thinking that way. So then what does it do? It causes problems and clashes between the Marxist-Leninists, the democratic capitalists. That's what happens. And he said it takes 10 to 15 years to accomplish this process. And like I told y'all before, they're ahead of us. And they are about 10 years ahead of us on indoctrinating our children to think this way. Not only our little kids, but our college kids. But see, that wasn't enough. So now we've finished that part of it. But now we really got to get in there and we really got to pervert this country to cause the fall. The country must collapse. So then they send in, what do they send in? Send in the clowns, the drag queens. Send in the clowns, the drag queens. Let's get them in here. Let's finish this. Let's make it worse. And they did. And the transgender ideology was born in the minds of our children, and now they are hell-bent to die for it. To prove their point. Because they believe in it that much. And doesn't that just blow your mind? Blows my mind. So they go after our religion, they go after our education. What else? They go after our law enforcement. And they make movies that are perverse with sex, sex, sex. We know that. Then they made them worse where you get to see people vomit, pee, and poop in the bathroom. Even have sex in the bathroom. And I'm always going fast forward through. I'm like, I don't need to see this. Just imply it. Make little fireworks like they used to do in the 50s for movies and stuff, you know. I don't want to see people vomiting. I don't want to see people peeing and pooping. I just don't. Bad Santa Claus really upset me. One of the first scenes is the guy sitting there in the chair. He's eating a bucket of chicken while he's taking a poop. I'm like, why? I don't want to see this, okay? Just tell me he's a nasty person. I don't need to see how nasty he really is. He's very nasty. So, our law enforcement and how they do that. Movies, propaganda, media, YouTube, etc. They want to show all the worst, the best, worst cops and stuff that we have and make people afraid of cops. And they are dumb and stupid, power-hungry people. You know? So then people are afraid of cops. And people, many people have taught their children to be afraid of cops. So when they really need help, who are they going to go to if their parents are not around? But this is subversion. This is subversion. This is what's happened to our society, making us think that cops are stupid, power hungry, in walking around with their weapons and just looking for a fight with a person that's not doing anything wrong. And every time you see a movie, you see that. And if you see anybody that's in military in a movie, must not be plugged in well enough. If you see anyone in military in a movie, they'll make them out to be an idiot. You know? So, subversion. I believe Yuri's right. We've been subverted. Well, I'm going to make another video. I've kept you for an hour here. If you're really into what I'm saying, you want to know more, please see me in the next video. Have a great one.